It is that time. It is that time. Another week, another round of NFL game picks from yours truly for whatever, I guess that is worth. You look back at last week, week 6, it was okay. Not great. 8-6 picking winners, 8-6 against the spread. So for the season to date, I'm 61-30 picking winners, 51-41 picking against the spread. Um, Just an okay performance. Not spectacular. Not one to write your congressman about, brag about, or anything like that. So let's see what we can do here in week number 7 of the Thursday night matchup. I had the Eagles winning by a field goal. It was a divisional rivalry. Both teams stink, so why would I pick anybody by 5? Not going to happen. That's a field goal type of game all day, no matter who I pick, and I just pick the Eagles to win. So I had Philly winning, but the Giants covering the 5-point spread, so at least that worked out for me. Hey, you know what? You can't win them all, but sometimes you get lucky enough. So starting off the week well, let's see how the rest of the weekend ultimately ends up going. The early Sunday games, you got Detroit traveling to Atlanta. Atlanta's 2.5-point favorites. Now that they got their first win out of the way last week, this is a prime example of a team shooting themselves in the foot if you're talking about the tanking for Trevor type of sweepstakes. I can see Matt Ryan doing just enough to kind of screw the pooch on that for the organization. I'm saying it's the right or wrong thing. I'm just saying it is what it is. So I'll take the Falcons minus the 2.5 there. You got the Browns smarting off of last week's big blowout loss to the Steelers traveling to Cincinnati, who's also smarting themselves after blowing a 21-point lead that they had early on against the Indianapolis Colts. The Browns are favored by 3. I'll bite on the Browns this week to bounce back a little bit. Give me the Browns minus the 3. Big time marquee matchup of 2-5-0 undefeated teams in the AFC. Man, this is a big matchup. You got the Steelers traveling to Tennessee to take on the Titans. The Titans are 1-point favorites here, and that's it. Kind of interesting that the money line is so close, but you look at both of these teams, like, man, they sure look legit right now. You're probably talking about 4 elite teams in the AFC, the way it's cracked out through the first 6 weeks. It's the Chiefs and Ravens, and then you got the Steelers and Titans have got to be considered right there in the mix, too. When I look at this matchup, I like the Steelers a little bit more, admittedly. I just do. I think the Steelers can also ball defensively, and I think their offense has a little more versatility, a little more explosiveness to it. So I like the Steelers plus the 1 to win on Sunday. You got the Panthers traveling to New Orleans to take on the Saints. The Saints are favored by 7.5. I believe they're not going to have Michael Thomas again for the game on Sunday. I don't know what the hell is going on down there in New Orleans with him. But even if they had Michael Thomas, that 7.5-point spread seems kind of big. It's not exactly like the Saints have looked as good as they were the past couple of seasons. So I still like the Saints to ultimately win this matchup, but give me the Carolina Panthers plus the 7.5 all day long for the spread. You got the Bills minus 12 favored over the Jets. Why would I roll with anything other than Buffalo in the 12? Why? I mean, the Jets got shut out by the Dolphins last week. Yeah, that's Bills by 2+ touchdowns on Sunday. It has to be that way, doesn't it? You never know in the NFL, I guess, but I feel pretty confident about that one. The Cowboys, after getting their shit rocked on Monday night against the Cardinals, traveled to Washington to take on Ron Rivera's team, who's smarting after that late 2-point attempt did not succeed, and they lost to the Giants. The Cowboys are favored by a point here. Like, it should be, in theory, the perfect type of bounce-back game for the Cowboys, but why would you... just because they're the Dallas Cowboys, you have to be realistic about what you've seen this year. They suck. I mean, Washington sucks too. These are just 2 bad football teams. In that respect, I'll take the home team. Give me Washington plus the 1 because I can sit there and say, Dallas has way more talent on his team than it does, but they're significantly underperforming. Like, at least Washington is playing closer to what is supposed to be its potential. Like, that's bad. It's already getting ugly there in Dallas. It could get hot. It could get real hot quickly, and it could get hot as early as Sunday if they lose this game to Washington. You got the Packers trying to bounce back after last week's blowout loss to the Buccaneers going into Houston to take on a Texans team that's smarting themselves a little bit, coughing that late lead up and pissing it down their leg against the Titans last week and ultimately losing the game in overtime. I like the Packers here minus the 3. Going to the late Sunday games, you got Tampa versus the Raiders. At the time that I'm recording this, I'm not sure that there's a spread here because I know there was some concern about whether or not this game was going to happen or not. But when I look at this, I'm just going to pick the winner straight up, and I guess I'll have to ride with whatever spread it is for the winner because I really can't sit there and at this moment find a spread. So in terms of what could happen here, I like the Bucks in this matchup. Like that was a big win last week over the Packers. Like they look dominant. So I have some faith in them being able to go into Las Vegas and be able to find a way to get that job done. The Chiefs are favored by 9 over the Broncos. Now, seems like a little bit of a big margin for 2 reasons, 3 reasons for me. One, it's in Denver, it's in Mile High, Mile High City, I should say. 2, the Broncos just beat the Patriots on the road last week. So that victory should at least account for a little something, even if it's not the Brady Belichick Patriots teams of the past. And 3, you look at this as a divisional game. So sometimes those games can be played a little bit closer to the vest, at least in theory. But when you look at this matchup for the Chiefs, after the loss to the Raiders last week, they looked pretty good against the Bills. They can beat the Bills by 9, then I think they could beat the Broncos by 9. So give me Kansas City minus the 9. San Francisco travels to New England to take on the Patriots. And what feels like an absolute must-win game for New England. This is been in this spot before with this team and this coaching staff. And for the 49ers, big win, nice win for them on Sunday night last week over the Rams. It's a game they absolutely had to have, and they got it. Maybe you're hoping if you're a 49ers fan that Jimmy G goes in New England and tries to exact a little revenge on his old team, maybe. But I'll take the Patriots minus the 2 here. The Jaguars travel to Los Angeles to take on the Chargers, and the Chargers are favored by 7.5. Good Lord. Ooh, yeah. I like the Chargers to win, but I do like the Jaguars to cover the 7.5 point spread. The Sunday night matchup features a really good matchup in the NFC West. You've got the Seahawks traveling to Arizona to take on the Cardinals. Like the Seahawks are legit. I don't think anybody disputes that. You've got Russell Wilson is on an MVP type of trajectory this year. They're leading the division. They're a favorite to potentially get the 1 seed in the NFC playoff race. But on the flip side, you've got the Cardinals. Here they are all of a sudden. They're 4-2. This is a team that I was kind of high on their playoff chances. Like, this is a really big chance for them on Sunday night in a primetime featured spot to put up a signature victory and really stamp and announce their arrival on the scene with Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury. Like, this is absolutely a critical spot for them. Now, if they lose, it doesn't end their season at all because they still be 4-3. But if they win, man, now all of a sudden you talk about you give the Seahawks their first L. Now you're sitting there at 5-2. Like, you got to feel really good if you're the Cardinals about your playoff chances if you win this game on Sunday night. So this should be an interesting one. I want to dive in and say Arizona's going to win this game, but I'm going to play it a little safe this time. I'll go with the Seahawks minus the 3. Which brings us to the Monday night matchup. My Bears traveling to Los Angeles to take on the Rams. We've been in this place the past couple of years with both of these teams in prime time. A couple of ugly defensive battles with crappy quarterback play for both teams in Trubisky and Goff. And we'll see what we get out of it this year. The Rams are favored by 6. And I got to say, admittedly, that's a little disrespectful to the Bears. I understand people think that their 5-1 start is fluky because I do too. But on the flip side of that, the Rams' 4 wins have all come against the NFC East. So let's not get too carried away here in pretending that the Rams have looked star-spangled and awesome. And they just, looked pretty bad on Sunday night against the 49ers. So you got 2 teams that are familiar with each other, 2 teams. This is a big game for both. It's a primetime spot. The Bears' history under Nagy in some of these primetime matchups has not been great. Furthermore, especially when you had Trubisky starting. So who knows what you're going to get out of Foles in this Monday night spot. But both of these teams the past couple of years have played. The Bears won one in 2018, beating the Rams 15-6. It was a defensive battle in that cold Soldier Field Sunday night. They ran through them pretty good. But last year, the Rams won 17-7. Again, another defensive battle, and the Bears' offense was just absolutely atrocious. I look at this matchup. I happen to think the Rams are a little bit of a better team because they can do a little bit more in the passing game than the Bears can. But I don't know that they're 6 points better than the Bears. That feels like that might be a bit much. Maybe. Well, maybe not. But I like the Rams to win this matchup, even though some of you might say, as you're a Rams fan, you're like, damn it, he just put the Jeff Jinx on a Monday night. And maybe I did. But I do like the Bears to cover the 6 point spread here. every one of their games this season has pretty much been close. It's all one-score games and crap. So I'd be surprised if it wasn't like a field goal game and it didn't come down to a big play happening late. That's just kind of my thoughts. So far this year with my picks, been doing okay. Certainly would always like to do better. Want to improve and do more. But could certainly be worse. As always, you're welcome to go against me. Put your picks in the comments for this week's games. Smash that subscribe button. Click the bell. What the hell? So that way you're notified of future videos from this channel. Stay tuned. I got some more stuff coming up this weekend. So see you then.